Well, 20 years ago would never have been considered the high water mark for dream cars. 1984, there was nothing really exciting on the horizon. They had the 308, the 328 was about to be introduced, but there was a new car that was going to be brought out by Ferrari that was going to put the excitement back into dream cars. The original GTO had its new partner, the 288 GTO. It was going to be developed for FIA Group B racing. It was going to be the ultimate in street cars, the ultimate in race cars. 2.8 liters, twin turbos, 400 horsepower. This was going to be the weapon of choice for most guys racing in Group B. So let's take this thing for a spin and see how it really performs. Well, the first thing you do when you get into this 288 GTO is realize that the car, although it looks like a 308 to the average guy, is definitely not a 308. The chassis is actually 4 inches longer than the original 308 328, and that was in order to put the motor, which was only 2.8 liters instead of 3 liters or 3.2 liters, longitudinally instead of transversely in the back end. That was one of the first times they actually did that. With the gearbox behind it, it had to be extended 4 inches in chassis, making the wheelbase also 4 inches longer. So none of the body panels actually fit. After that, it looks like a car on steroids. It's got these great big fender flares front and rear. What gave this little monster all that horsepower was the IHI turbos. It was a twin turbo with intercoolers that gave it tons and tons of torque and horsepower considering the size of the engine. That coupled with 4 valves per cylinder, a reworked head, made this thing a strong, strong performer. You know what's really amazing is how much torque these little motors make. The gearbox on this, typical Ferrari. You have to be precise, make sure you get it right in the gates. But once you get it down and take your time, it's a very nice gearbox. The handling on this car is exceptional, probably because of the unequal length A-arms, both front and rear. It's got coilovers on front and rear, independent suspension all the way around, and of course roll bars front and back, which make this car as fun to drive on the tight, windy bits as it is on the highway. Keep in mind, top speed on this car, 1984, was 190 miles an hour in 5th gear. Now, any car that does 190 miles an hour better have great brakes on it. That's exactly what this car has. It's got 4 great big ventilated discs that help haul this car down from just about any speed. Keep in mind, this is the first time Ferrari felt that a car was worthy of the name GTO, and it was the first time Ferrari in 20 years had built a purpose-built race car, which is exactly what this car was. They had to build 200 cars to be eligible for Group B. They ended up building 272 of these monsters, and none of them were destined for the North American market. So each one of these cars that came in had to be retrofitted, federalized, and then probably put back to the way it was. Well, I've got to admit, I'm pleasantly surprised on the performance of this car. And this car is a great original car. It's got 15,000 miles on it. It's never been repainted. The interior is like brand new. The bolsters on the seats, not even worn. There's barely a stone chip in the front end of this car. The wheels, no nicks. The engine bay looks like it the day it left the factory. This car is basically a brand new car out of the box. Now, keep in mind, list price on this car was about $85,000 brand new. In the early 90s, late 80s, these cars climbed to almost $1 million. They've come back. They're about $325,000. Performance of this car, worth every penny. Watch for this car to probably go back up in value too.